What are your thoughts on the way England have played so far?
The way England have played, well, it's a bit. I think it's a bit difficult to judge, isn't it? Because I don't wish to be disrespectful to their opponents so far, but Wales and the United States. I don't think. I think the States again were decent. Yeah, to go back to your other question, I thought they were a pretty good side. I thought they were quite well organised, and they had some decent players, Pulisic, etc. People forget that. Players who are playing again at a high level, but collectively, possibly, there's no way that they had the kind of squad that England have got. Wales, I thought, were always going to be weak. Iran, perhaps a better side than they appeared to be in that first match, but I don't really think England have had a major challenge yet. So I think that suddenly, we're ratcheting up the challenge quite considerably for the France match, and that's I think the main question mark against this England side. But if you have to say that, English commentators, I tend to talk more about Spanish football, but English commentators over the decades have all said this is the best team for a generation, blah blah blah, like the 90s team, like the 2010 side, and yet they always fall short for some reason or other. But looking at recently, they've reached a World Cup semi-final, they've reached the Euro final. They have got a bit more experience in that sense now, and you've got a player like Jude Bellingham coming through, who seems to be taking on this role as perhaps the fulcrum of the side. He's just come into form at the right time. He is obviously a very good player. You've got a very impressive squad if you look at them. If a player like Jack Grealish, doesn't start, impressive stuff. I really don't know what's going to happen in this game. I think it's very difficult to predict the result of France-England.
What about the central defense?
Well, that's the question mark, isn't it? John Stones, I think he's a pretty fine player, although I wouldn't say he's not a world beater, but he's solid. He's solid, but Maguire is the question mark, isn't he? And Southgate seems to trust Maguire for some curious reason. I'm still not quite sure why Maguire is a starter, and everybody seems to say the same thing. And I don't think that Southgate is a Luis Enrique. I don't think he's stubborn in that sense. I'm really not sure. What you've got is you've got two fullbacks, well, four fullbacks. You've got on the right and the left, who both compensate possibly for Maguire. And maybe the idea is that Maguire brings out the ball well, but I don't think he does it exceptionally well. I don't see that as being a major part of his game, But he has got luxuries. He's got two right backs and two left backs, and you can play either of them. That's what Luis Enrique didn't have. You can play either of them depending on the sort of system you want to play. I think personally he'll play Trippier against France because I don't feel Kyle Walker isn't 100% fit. And with the speed of Mbappe, that's obviously going to be an issue. I think he'll play Trippier on that side.
But with Mbappe's speed, Walker would be a better option.
He would be if he was fit, but I if you noticed in the previous game, he was caught out in that run with that. I can't remember the player it was, and they say he's like 80-85%, and so it depends on his fitness. Yes, I think if he's fit, I would put him in. Yeah, on the left hand side, I like Shaw and I like Trent Alexander-Arnold. I like them both, but for different reasons.